I want to try one of those reading vlogs for the week. Now, I wanted to start this when I start my new books, but because of all the busyness and everything else from last week, I still have 2 books that I intended to read last week that I need to finish this week. So, the 2 that I need to finish is Interview with a Vampire by Anne Rice. I mean, I'm more than halfway into that one, so I'm hoping to finish it today, but I'm also extremely busy today. I have this to film, I have another YouTube video idea that I want to film as well, and then I have a reel to film and photos to take for Instagram, including I was asked by Spicy Dragon Co. to take pictures of me in something from their shop. So I got this, and I'm going to take photos of it, so I will be on their website. I'm doing 2 photos. First one, angel face. I'm not going to have makeup on. And then devil thoughts. I have devil horns. I'm going to put my devil horns on and goth out my makeup and take another photo. So she's got 2. I have ideas and I'm really busy, so hopefully I'll be able to get to reading today. We will see. So I have this I need to finish, and then I also have Moonrise by M.J. Claiborne that I need to finish. I'm halfway in that one too. So I really shouldn't be starting other things, but if I can get through those, I'm going to start 3 other books. So I'm in a Goosebumps buddy read, and we are trying to read a book a week so we can get through, well, there's 52 weeks in a year, and I think there's 62 original Goosebumps. So I don't know how that's going to work out, but we were going to read at least 52 of them this year. So I finished Welcome to Dead House last week, and then this week we are doing Stay Out of the Basement this week. I've actually never read Goosebumps when I was a kid, so I wanted to join in because I've always wanted to read Goosebumps. I wanted that nostalgia, even though I'm reading it as an adult. And oddly enough, after reading Welcome to Dead House, I do feel nostalgic, even though I've never read them before. I guess because it's very, like, the cover, I mean, I have the Kindle version of the next one, but I had the real version, the physical copy of the first one. So the cover, all the colors and everything else just felt really 90s, and I think that was the nostalgia for me, not necessarily the book, because that was the first time I ever read it. But I'm enjoying myself, so I'm excited to continue that. So I'm wanting to start that this week, and I also am starting Whichever Way You Go by Robert Herold. It's a short story series. There's a few of them that the author was asking me to read and review. I agreed, so I picked up the first one and I'm going to read it this week. Those would be easy to read. I think I'll definitely be able to finish those this week, along with the other 2 books. I'm a sucker for punishment, and I know I'm going to fail, but I'm going to try my best to do that on top of everything else that I've been doing. We'll see if that works. Because I also, which I did not grab the book, but I also want to start Terry Pratchett, Discworld. The first one I think is The Color of Magic. I should have grabbed the book. I'm not prepared. Look at me. So that's 5 books that I'm going to try to finish this week. And you'll see throughout the rest of this vlog whether or not I succeed in that, because I don't have high hopes. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, I think that's all I need to say. I think I may update you later on tonight on whether or not I managed to read at all. But if not, I'll definitely update you the next day. Okay? I'm gonna go do all the things now. Whew. Okay. It is still Sunday. As you can see, I have the same shirt on. I just have makeup on now and my devil horns because I was taking photos with this devil thoughts part of the shirt. Anyways, I actually got through everything I need to do today in a short amount of time, just like a few hours. So I definitely have time to read. Now, can I read all the pages that I intend to read today? We'll see. I do have one more task I need to do, and then the rest of the day I can sit and read. Well, two more tasks technically. I gotta wash this makeup off. But I figured since I took like an hour to do my makeup just to take a few photos, I might as well also update the vlog. Anything I can do to make an hour worth of putting on makeup worth doing instead of just a few seconds of photos and then call it a day, you know what I mean? So, anyways, I'm gonna go now wash my face off because I may be mildly allergic to makeup. Anyone else get like the sniffles when they put makeup on? Is that an allergy or what? So I'm gonna go wash my face off, so I'm gonna stop sniffling and then read. If I do update again, it may be tomorrow to tell you whether or not I actually read what I intended to read. We'll see. Okay, I'm gonna take this off. Good afternoon, souls. At least it is for me. It is a glorious rainy Monday. I just completed my morning yoga and my meditation. I started laundry and I'm about to eat lunch and my yogurt. But before I do, I want to come on here to do a reading vlog update from yesterday's reading. And I did exactly the opposite of what I intended to do for reading. So as a reminder, even though you just watched the first day, I had intended to try to finish reading the books that I intended to finish reading last week. Yeah, I didn't read them at all. Instead, I started the books that I wanted to read this week. So, I'm going to try to read the books I intended to read last week today. I'm definitely not going to finish it. I think what I'm going to do instead is read them in chunks and maybe finish all 5 of them this week, instead of trying to cram like 100 plus pages. This usually happens when I'm not completely enjoying a book. I want to put it off as much as possible, but if I do, it's just going to sit there and hang in the air, and I'm almost done with this book. So I'm going to just read it in chunks, which based on my calculations, it's 20 pages a day in order to finish this in a week, but I am behind. So now I'm gonna read 40 pages today, which I will hopefully get to because I am very busy. I've got laundry, I've got floors to clean, dusting, and all kinds of other things I need to do. But maybe I can get some reading in. And then I didn't read Moonrise at all either. I'm behind on that one. I did not calculate how many pages it'll take, but I think I'll also read this in a week instead of trying to cram as many pages as possible. But what I did start on is The Color of Magic. I'm 40 pages in because it takes 40 pages each day in order to finish this in a week. I'm enjoying it. Terry Pratchett's writing style, though, is interesting. It's not something that I'm used to. It's very quirky. It's very tongue-in-cheek. You know, there's a lot of humor in it, but the writing just kind of like boggles my mind a little bit considering what I'm used to. But as I'm reading it more and more, it gets easier to understand his quirkiness. It's been great so far. I keep wanting to pick this one up instead of what I'm supposed to be reading. So that is a good indicator. And then the other ones that I started is on my Kindle. I started the Goosebumps that I'm buddy reading. So I'm like 18% in the Goosebumps. Those are very quick, easy reads. They're children's books. They're not any crazy writing style or language. I'm to the part where I'm really, really curious as to what's happening in the basement. Yet again, another book that I just want to pick up and read instead of the ones I intended to read. And then the last one that I started reading is Whichever Way You Go, and I'm 15% in that one. And already things are happening. This is a really short story though, so obviously already things are going to start happening. But some things are going down, and I stopped right there when it hit, and I'm just like, no, I want to continue reading. So I think what's going to happen today when I read some more is I'm going to pick up those instead of the ones that I keep putting off, and then I'm going to be behind again. I need to not do that. I need to force myself to read the other 2 books first to get those out of the way, and then I can gladly pick up those other ones as a reward for doing that. That's what I need to do. The books that I'm really interested in are my reward for the books I'm not so interested in. Obviously, I'm interested in the other books enough for me to continue reading them instead of DNFing them. I'm just taking my time. Same way that I am with It. I'm just picking at it every now and then because that is another book that I have not finished reading, but I'm almost done with it. It's an audiobook. I think I've got I say almost done. It is a big book, and it's like 44 hours long. I'm 7 hours, I think, 7 hours away from being finished, so chip away at it every now and then. I should be done. Probably not within the month, probably February I might be done. Who knows? But yeah, that is my reading update. I don't know if I'm going to be updated again today, but if I do, I'll let you know. I'm going to go eat and go down my list. Also, it's hair washing day, so don't judge me for this. Okay. All right. Today is Tuesday. I did not update you yesterday night when I said I was going to. So this is more of an update about the stuff that I read and did yesterday, Monday. I did start reading the pages for today. I've read the pages for 2 of my books, and I've read half the pages for 1 of my books. I didn't start on the other 2. So I'm going to finish reading those and probably update you again Wednesday for stuff that I've read today. Anyways, I felt really accomplished Monday, to be truthfully honest. I had a bunch of things to do on my to-do list, which I think I mentioned in a previous vlog. I had a bunch of chores to do and stuff for Instagram and editing the YouTube video on top of reading that I need to catch up on. I actually did it all, except for, okay, I'm almost done with the editing of the YouTube video, which I need to complete today because I intend to post it tomorrow, which you will see before this vlog even shows up on my YouTube. But what's more important for this reading vlog is I finished the pages I intended to do and caught up on Anne Rice and Moonrise, which I was struggling to catch up with. So my thoughts. If you are an Interview with a Vampire lover, if you are an Anne Rice lover, I would say you skip these thoughts because I'm probably going to upset you. I've already upset people on Instagram about my thoughts. So I'll have timestamps down in my description. You probably want to just skip over this. The reason why I wanted to read this is because I really liked the movie. It was one of my favorite movies when I was growing up. Anne Rice is one of the authors that I had intended to read of the list of people that I wanted to read that I hadn't read when I was a kid or a teenager, young adult. So I was really hopeful. And I got myself disappointed. I probably shouldn't have read the book. I probably should have just stuck with the nostalgia with the movie and kept it there. Anne Rice's writing style is out there. There is a lot of moments where she just gets lost in her own descriptors when she's trying to describe the scene, set the mood. It's just almost as if she gets lost in describing things and completely loses the moment. To me, personally. My attention span is probably not good enough to be able to read Anne Rice. Who knows? The other thing that I'm struggling with is I think because of how long this book is and how much she's constantly over describing things, she forgets certain details that she's already written in the book. For example, Louis seeing in the dark. Unless I'm personally forgetting, I'm pretty sure he was able to see in the dark as a vampire, creature of the night. But the recent moments, he's acting more human. He's struggling to see in the dark. I know Armand and the other vampires may be using vampire magic to kind of hide themselves in the darkness. But he was relying so much on candlelight and lamplight in order to see anything, not just the vampires, to see anything. The details of Armand's paintings and murals on the wall and all that. Now, I understand that is his flaw that boggles other vampires' minds, is he's acting very human even though he's a vampire. But I don't feel like this is purposeful. I feel like this is something that she's completely forgotten that Louis can do. And I know no one can be perfect, even with editors and anything else. I don't understand no one can be perfect. I'm just saying there's just moments like that that sticks out to me as I'm reading this. Maybe she wrote it in chunks and forgot about the first part or something. I don't know. Another thing that's different, which is what's going to probably upset most of you who are into Anne Rice, the relationship between Claudia and Louis. I personally feel like that is way too intimate. There are some very questionable lines, and everyone argues with me and says, no, he just sees her as his daughter. There's some moments in here, I mean, I know I'm not a parent, but I've been a child before, and these aren't moments that you as a parent should be doing to your kid. So, I disagree. Now, for some reason, and I don't know if the editors told her to tone it down or she's herself decided to tone it down, but for some reason, not that I'm complaining about it, I'm just complaining about the odd change in relationship. He is now treating her like his daughter. So, what happened there? There's no indication that he's decided to change his way of thinking with Claudia either. It's just suddenly he's now daughter this, daughter that. Whereas before, it wasn't. It was lover this, lover that. There are moments where he does say daughter before. But there was also moments he said lover and done some questionable things or looked upon her in questionable ways, which he doesn't seem to look upon her as now. So my complaint is the oddity of it suddenly changing with no indication that he's changing his mind. That's my complaint. I'd rather there not be any kind of intimacy with Claudia at all throughout the entire book. That's what's disturbing me the most. Now, I am a horror reader. I understand there's always going to be some horrific things in horror. This is classified as a horror. But I was not warned about that. People who argue with me, maybe they've not read this book in a while and don't remember those scenes. It's because I'm reading this now and giving you a play-by-play commentary that I remember those scenes distinctly. Anne Rice hasn't dropped the whole Louis' infatuation with young people, because there are scenes not with Claudia that are very questionable that I've recently read. Not that I want it to be, but at least that's something that she's not changed completely. But I think bottom line is it just seems like as you go to the different parts, it feels like a whole other book. It feels like certain things have changed, relationships, vampire tropes, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. The more and more I read this, the more and more flaws I'm seeing with it. So I don't think this is going to get reviewed very well. Sadly, I wanted to like this. I do have the second book and I will be reading it because I got it for Christmas. Maybe I'll like that one. Who knows? Because I think that one's focused on Lestat. Maybe I just don't like Louis and I don't like his story. But her writing style also boggles my mind. So unless it's changed or she's fine-tuned it, I don't know if this is her first book. I know it's the first book of the Vampire Chronicles, but I don't remember if this is literally her first book. If it's her first book, then okay. Because debut novels are not going to be perfect. I'm not going to completely write her off. I'm just struggling with this book in particular. And that long-winded update is Anne Rice. Next one I will talk about is Goosebumps, Stay Out of the Basement. This is the one that I'm buddy reading with a bunch of people. The whole year we're going to be buddy reading the 62 original Goosebumps. I think I made a comment that I don't know how we're going to do that. There's only 52 weeks in the year, but I have figured out that we are going to read a couple of books some weeks. Next week will be a couple of books. So that's what we're going to do. Anyways, so Stay Out of the Basement. It's good. I am predicting what's happening. Of course, I was predicting what was happening in the first one. This is a children's book. It's not going to be complicated. You're going to figure out what's going on. But I like the first one better. And I feel like the writing was a little bit better in the first one too. I'm enjoying it still. I liked the concept. Last year I read a anthology called Spread. It's a horror about plants. It's good. I recommend it. So me reading this reminds me of that, and that's the only hint I'm giving you what's going on in this book. The next book I'm talking about is Whichever Way You Go by Robert Herold. It's another short story. I'm going through it pretty quickly. The writing's pretty good. I keep getting shocked. These people are having a bad day, is what they're having. You know what? That's the theme of the week. Every single one of these books, the main character is having a bad day. I just realized that. Huh. Things go down the minute you open the book. It is a short story, so obviously it's going to be action-packed in order to get through the meat of the story. I'm really intrigued. I want to see what happens at the end, because I stopped at a moment that I'm just like, oh, so I want to know what happens next. But I finished the pages I need to read today, so I'm going to have to hold on till tomorrow, unless I decide, screw it and finish. The next book I'm going to talk about is Moonrise by MJ Claiborne. I think I mentioned earlier this week that I'm not liking the main character. The main character is a jerk to his girlfriend. I still don't like the main character, but thankfully the focus isn't on the girl anymore for reasons. He's having a bad day and I'm feeling a little bad for him. Like I said, this is the theme of the week. Every single one of these characters are having a bad day in these books. The story is really fascinating me. This is werewolf horror, more like a thriller. I mean, there are horror elements, there's some gore, there's some details, but this is more of a lichen story about different packs and the fight for the city, that kind of thing. That's what this is about. This isn't really like a werewolf going on a rampage and that kind of spooky horror. So I consider it more of like a thriller type of thing. Would you consider that a thriller? Maybe I should just consider this a paranormal. There's going to be gory details and everything else, but it's more paranormal, supernatural focus. There's some sci-fi elements to this. Mad scientist sci-fi elements. So I'm just like, oh, what is this about, So, really intrigued by that. Really intrigued by the story. It's gotten better. This is their debut novel, so I'm cutting a little bit of slack. But I will say that this probably could have done with some more editing. They're using descriptors for every single sentence. And it's almost as if like they've taken a thesaurus to try to pad this and make it seem more flowery, which really it didn't really need. There's a lot of moments where the descriptors just don't make sense to me, but it's keeping my interest and things are escalating. And the last thing I'll talk about, where'd that accent come from? The last thing I talk about is The Color of Magic by Terry Pratchett. Speaking of people having a bad day, this poor wizard, Rincewind, I think is how you pronounce his name. Poor guy. He's not having a good day at all. And I'm laughing because of it. I mean, I probably should feel bad for him. I feel a little bad for him, but at the same time, I'm just highly amused that this poor wizard's struggling. Terry Pratchett's writing style is quirky, but it can be confusing at times, especially when it jumps. It does page breaks and kind of jumps to something else. Not the focus of Rincewind, but someone else. And you're kind of like, what does this have to do with the story? I really like luggage. I think it's hilarious they literally have, this is not what luggage looks like, but there's literally a piece of luggage on the front. I'm definitely going to continue to read the Discworld series. But yeah, I have some things I need to do. I need to finish editing the YouTube video for tomorrow. So I'm probably going to focus on that today. I will be back tomorrow to update you again on where I'm at in all these books. Okay, so today is Friday, which means I have not updated this vlog since Tuesday afternoon. I think that's the last thing that I've updated. And things took a Things took an unfortunate turn this week, sadly. The last thing I said on the vlog on Tuesday was I was going to spend the rest of the day editing the video for YouTube, which is the one that's posted before this one. It is Top Books of 2023. I had full confidence that I could do that in a few hours. Like, there wasn't a bunch of editing I needed to do. Yeah, that few hours turned into 7 a.m. I was up until 7 a.m. trying to edit that and get it ready and scheduled for a Wednesday posting. So that means because I wake up at 9 to take my medication, that means I only got a couple of hours of sleep. And then I tried to lay back down after taking my medicine at 9 to sleep until noon. I definitely didn't want to sleep past noon, but at least sleep until noon. My brain wouldn't shut off. So I didn't get anything done on Wednesday because of that, because I was so exhausted. And then Wednesday, I was like, okay, well, then I'm going to go to bed early so I can get my 8 hours of sleep to recharge after that. And then I woke up Thursday at 7 a.m. instead of 9 a.m. because of pain. And it's TMI, I'm not going to talk about it, but I was in a lot of pain and I couldn't get back to sleep. So I didn't get 8 hours. I at least got 6 hours. So yesterday, again, I didn't update the vlog. I did, though, since I wasn't doing anything else, I did read. And I am caught up on reading. So that's a plus. But I didn't do anything else. I did edit the video too, actually. So I guess I did do some things yesterday. I just didn't update the vlog. I did try to update the vlog. Because I was so out of it and everything else, I did not realize that I had the camera facing the wrong way. So I sat there and I talked for like 10 minutes about all of this that I'm talking about now. And when I was done and I turned my phone around, which I'm doing my selfie camera this time because I don't want to do that again. But when I turned the phone around, I realized that I was filming my bathroom. My bathroom's over here. I was filming my bathroom the entire time while I was talking. And because of all the stress of the past couple of days, I just flipped out and shut down. I was so exhausted and I just needed to recharge. So I just stopped. I stopped trying to do things. I'm programmed to get things done. But clearly I just needed to recharge. So yesterday I just dropped everything and didn't do anything besides reading. I did read. So today's Friday, like I said. And I have 2 days to finish the books. But as you can see, I'm pretty much almost done with all of these. I'm like 70% in everything. So I'm going to read a chunk of each of the books today and then finish it tomorrow. All of them. While I was doing the edits for the video, I started laughing because I was so confident in the first video of this reading vlog of how I was going to read 5 books. I know I was going to set myself up for failure, but I did it anyways. It was a struggle, and I'm not going to do that again, but I might actually do it. What I should have done is I should have stuck to the 2 that I didn't finish reading last week and not start anything new. That is the same thing I should have done. Because I normally just average 2 books a week. Unless I'm not feeling it, then I'll just read 1 book a week. But not 5. Definitely not 5. Because of the days that I've had this week, I have not completed my house chores. So I break my chores down into a few days instead of doing it all in one day. I would like to do it all in one day, but I just can't do it by myself. I hurt my back doing all the stuff that I do. My back is just not good. I mean, it's getting better with yoga and weight loss and all that, but my back just starts hurting after a while. So I break it down in a few days. So I accomplished most of my chores Monday, which in this vlog I felt really accomplished Monday because I got everything done, and then it just devolved from that. So Tuesday I had intended to complete my chores, and that didn't happen. And then Wednesday I was too exhausted. And then Thursday, I was in a lot of pain. So I'm hoping today I can actually finish my chores. So I can check that off my list for the week too. This is just a documentary of my craziness and trying to cram a bunch of things at once, honestly. At least I have it on camera as a lesson. Maybe I can ingrain in my head to stop trying to bite off more than I can chew. And maybe this will be a lesson for all of you too. It's one thing to try to be successful and have a to-do list and check them off and everything else. It's another thing if you put too much on that to-do list and set yourself up for failure. That's what I did. I set myself up for failure. Don't do that to yourself. You're going to stress yourself out. I am stressed this week. So, life lesson for you and me, and here's hoping that I can actually complete these books. I feel confident. I don't have a whole lot to do today. I do want to finish my chores, but all I need to do is dust, vacuum, and mop upstairs. So that should just like take an hour, if that. And then I'm basically done with the editing of the vlog until I put this one up, and then I'll edit this one. I even look exhausted, Jesus. Okay, that's all I needed to update this vlog with. I will be back tomorrow to wrap it up and talk about the books some more. See you tomorrow. There's the reading vlog. I just have today and tomorrow to add to it, and then once it's all edited down, it'll be ready to post on Wednesday. And there's the books. It is Saturday. Well, technically it's Sunday because it's 3 a.m. I'm literally in my really oversized Goonies shirt, pajamas, because I'm probably going to be going to bed after this. But I have successfully finished all 5 of the books after that maddening week that I had and the struggles that I was having. It all kind of came crashing down from Monday, which you have seen up to this point. And the books were very polarizing for reviews, which you've seen my long-winded talk about it, I think Tuesday or whatever, especially about Interview with the Vampire. So I won't go long-winded again. And also I will be doing a January wrap-up of the books that I read this month. So you'll probably be hearing more about the books again during that video. We'll go ahead and get through Interview with the Vampire. I gave this book 1 star. This is a book I would have DNF'd if it hadn't been gifted to me. And I have a second one, which I did a poll on my Instagram to see what I should read next, and that was one of the choices, and it's winning. So I think I'm going to be reading The Vampire Lestat next week. But at least I will get it over with, right? And I've said before that I don't want to write off authors just for 1 book. So I should at least give Anne Rice a chance, because I do have The Vampire Lestat, and I also have a book that I picked up at a thrift shop called Violin. That's the first one I picked up before I was gifted these for Christmas. So I'll have at least 2 other books to read of Anne Rice to see if this was just a fluke or if I really don't like Anne Rice. I don't like her writing style, first and foremost. And I think that that will be what is the deciding factor when it comes to her other books. You've already heard the long tirade about Louis and Claudia and all of that. I do not like Louis. This is a 342-page book, and it's basically Louis telling his story. And I just had this woe is me whining voice the entire time for Louis, and it just was upsetting having to read that voice for 342 pages. I just don't have any patience for that kind of tone. Maybe I'm heartless for that, but that's just how I feel. None of these characters I liked at all. They're all awful in their own way. They were all toxic in their own way. And I know this is a horror and all of that, but I was hoping at least one character I would feel for or like. Okay, I do feel for Claudia. Claudia's story is tragic, and that is probably my favorite part of this, but that is the only redeeming quality for this book. And sadly, even she got annoying sometimes. But that's just my opinion. I should have stuck with the movie. It's just disappointed me. Let's go in order from least amount of stars to most amount of stars. So the next one I'm going to be talking about is Whichever Way You Go by Robert Herold. So this book, I do believe the last thing I said about the book was I was enjoying it. It's a very short story. It was very page turning though. I was always constantly stopping at a point where I'm just like, no, I want to read on, but I had other things to do. I had more books to read, so I couldn't. So that was the midway point. Unfortunately, the book fell flat. The ending just wasn't for me. I do know that this is a series of short stories. There's 3 of them. There's this one and 2 others. Because of the lore and what's going on, I am curious enough to pick up the other 2 to read, just to finish it, to see what goes on, or finish it up to a point. I don't know if he's writing anymore. Maybe the ending will redeem itself in the next one, because it picks back up the story. It wasn't really a cliffhanger. It was kind of wrapped up, but it just wrapped up in a way that was disappointing to me. I am interested enough with the story cults, witches, devil worshippers, all kinds of craziness. So I will be picking up the other 2 books. It is a 3-star, so that's usually good. It's a midway point. The next book we will talk about is Stay Out of the Basement by R.L. Stine, book 2 of the Goosebumps 62 books. This, again, fell flat for me, sadly. I mean, it intrigued me enough. I wanted to know what was going on in the basement, but once you learned what was going on in the basement, it just kind of fell flat for me afterward. I felt like the writing was not as good as the first one. I mean, the writing isn't something mind-blowing, it is a children's book, but it just felt less polished to me. And also, it felt like the cliffhanger moments, so like each chapter kind of ends with a cliffhanger to keep you turning the pages. I feel like that was used too much. It stretched out the grand finale to kind of pad out the story to me. So when you got to the grand finale, you're just like, finally. So again, 3 stars, midway. Still pretty neat. I think I've mentioned this before. I like Plants horror and this Scratch That Itch, but overall, it was okay. And the next book on the list, Moonrise by M.J. Claiborne. This was a 3.5 for me, so it got like a 0.5 out of me. So the ending, unlike the other ones, did not fall flat for me. I don't necessarily like the ending of it, but the grand finale was great. There were parts that I predicted, so when it happened, it was like, ah. But not everything. It was shocking how it ended. It was shocking how certain things happened. I wasn't predicting those bits, so that was exciting. The story in itself was exciting, but I've mentioned this before earlier in this vlog. The writing definitely needed some help. It needed some editing. And also, again, did not like the main character, which unfortunately means there wasn't necessarily that many characters to latch onto. There was 2 characters that latched onto me, but they were side characters that came in and out. You would hope that main characters would catch your interest, but unfortunately, because of personal opinions, I was triggered by the main character being that kind of guy to his girlfriend. No. This may be spoilery, so you might want to jump this part, but even though he did kind of mature and try to redeem himself with the whole girlfriend situation, with all the other stuff that was going down, he kind of realized he screwed up. I was still skeptical. It left a bad taste in my mouth I couldn't get rid of. But it still got a 3.5 because, like I said, the story did interest me quite a bit. The lore for the Lycans interested me. The action bits were great. It was just those type of things kind of dropped it down to a 3.5. I think I've showed you before. I don't want to show one that's spoilery. In front of all the chapters, there's art. So that's also pretty cool. It kind of ended in a cliffhanger, but it wrapped up the story enough for me to be like satisfied. I don't know if this is a series, and I don't know if I'm going to read more of it. Maybe I will. I mean, this is a debut novel. Again, I don't want to write off an author just because of one book that I didn't necessarily like that much. So, I mean, if it does end up in a series, I might read another one just to see what more happens. But if not, then it's wrapped up enough that one book is enough to me. Lastly, we have The Color of Magic, Terry Pratchett. This is a 5-star. This is my first 5-star of the year. I absolutely loved this. I am excited to pick up the next one. I did say that I had 3 of the Discworld. This one, I think it's the Light Fantastic, which is the second of the wizard ones, Rincewind. So I think it's suggested that you read that one next. And then I have Wyrd Sisters. I like looked at every single read order for this, and publication seems to be what is suggested, and Wyrd Sisters is actually not the third book based on that. So I at least have the first two. If I want to read this based on publication date, I'm going to have to pick up more. But yeah, I really like this. I feel like I would reread this, to be truthfully honest. I want to read the rest of the series, or a lot of the series. I don't know how many books are in the series. I know a lot. But I definitely would pick this up and reread it. It was that good. I liked it. Terry Pratchett, I mentioned this book again. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. Terry Pratchett's writing style is unique. The beginning of it can be a little clunky, because not only are you getting used to his writing style, you're also getting dumped in the world that you don't know anything about, and getting all kinds of information and stuff, so it's kind of, you know, that before the adventure starts. But once you get past that and you start sinking into the adventure and the characters and stuff, I think you would love this book. If you're into quirky, tongue-in-cheek kind of fantasy, it's not necessarily that serious. I mean, serious things are happening, but there's a lot of fun quirkiness to it that it gives it a lighter tone. And that's it. That is all 5 of the books that I read. And that is the end of the reading vlog. This is my first vlog ever. I kind of went in this blindly. I haven't really watched a whole lot of reading vlogs before, but I kind of skimmed some as I was doing this and realized I probably should have added more than just me sitting down in front of the camera to talk about the books. I know there's like the cozy vibe of whatever other stuff I'm doing throughout the house, but it's mostly boring stuff of me cleaning the house, watching TV if I'm not reading. So not a whole lot for me to document on top of just me sitting in front of here and talking about the books that I'm reading for the week. But I might do this again. It was fun documenting my crazy reading adventure and crazy week. I don't know if all of them are going to be crazy, but you never know. But yeah, this was fun. That's all I got. I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye, souls.